Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Thursday, November 12th, 2020. All right, let's do that again. Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Thursday, November 20th. No, not the 22nd. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry, Allie. Hello, and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Thursday, November 12th, 2020. I am your host, Annie Wilson. Most weekdays, we're here putting science into your brain. Usually Wednesdays are for Rocket Roundup. And today is not a Wednesday. I repeat, today is not a Wednesday. Yesterday was Veterans Day here in the US, and Dr. Pamela and I swapped days so I could have the day off. There were a lot of rocket launches while we were on break, so let's get to it, shall we? So first up is RocketLab. On October 28th at 21:21 UTC, RocketLab launched an Electron for the In Focus mission from Launch Complex 1 on the Mahia Peninsula in New Zealand. On board were 10 smallsats, 9 of which were SuperDoves, which will join planet's constellation of Earth imaging satellites. The 10th satellite was Canon Electronics CE-SAT-2 Bravo, a technology demonstration of an ultra-high sensitivity camera that is able to take nighttime images of Earth. The patch for this mission resembles a camera lens, which is fitting given the payload of fancy space cameras. Towards the center is a small satellite, probably the Canon experimental sat, among 10 stars, one for each satellite on board. To the left is what appears to be the bottom of Rocket Lab's kick stage, which is the final stage of the rocket where all of the satellites are deployed from. Also, this patch isn't quite a circle. It's actually a regular pentadecagon, one side for each of Rocket Lab's 15 missions.
T-minus 20 seconds and counting.
Reminder, rocket launches are loud. Looks like a beautiful day. And see all the venting.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Nice. All right, next up on November 5th at 23:24 UTC, SpaceX launched the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 4 aboard a Falcon 9 from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. GPS is that thing that helps us get from point A to point B without having to know what direction you're facing or even how to read a map. Please don't do this, people. Please be aware of your surroundings when you're using GPS to navigate. Don't drive off of a dock or through a fence or things like that. Anyway, this is the 4th in the 3rd generation of GPS satellites to be launched and will join the GPS constellation, currently comprised of 31 operational spacecraft. The satellite manufacturer, Lockheed Martin, says that GPS-3 satellites will also be compatible with international global navigation satellite systems, which will allow users the ability to receive signals from any country's satellites, maximizing their chances of receiving a strong and accurate signal, whether in a natural valley or an urban canyon. And for those of you keeping score at home, this was the first flight of booster Bravo 1062, and both fairing halves were recovered from the water.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Falcon 9 configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff. Go Falcon. Go GPS.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Nice. And it's not a SpaceX launch without a SpaceX landing. Unless, of course, you're like me and put the wrong video up.
Stage 1
Here's that launch, or landing.
Nominal parking orbit.
There's good orbit, and at the same time, we have touchdown of our Falcon 9 on Of Course I Still Love You.
There you go. There you have it. All right. Next up, on Friday, November 6th at 3:18 UTC, a Long March 6 took off from LC-16 at the Haiyuan Satellite Launch Center in Shanxi Province in China, carrying 10 Argentinian satellites, NewSats 9 through 18, to orbit to join the Aleph-1 commercial Earth-observing satellite constellation operated by Satellogic SA. Also on board were 3 Chinese small satellites that were either technology demonstrations or cooperative student projects. Each Satellogic satellite weighs about 41 kilograms and will provide high-resolution optical imagery, and each one is named for a pioneering woman in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The satellites are named after Alice Bell, Caroline Herschel, Cora Rado-Dessowski, Dorothy Vaughan, Emmy Noether, Heidi Lamar, Katherine Johnson, Lice Meitner, Mary Jackson, and Vera Rubin. Apologies if I slaughtered any of those names. And this image actually has all 10 satellites in a row, and I thought it was a very nice picture. Anyways, on to the launch. And I believe we'll get a second view of the launch. There we go. It looks like it's moving really slow. It's not. There you have it. All right. Next up, another Chinese launch. On Saturday, November 7th at 7:10 UTC, the inaugural launch of a Series 1 rocket took place at the Qiuquan Satellite Launch Center located in northwest China. Made by Galactic Energy, the Series 1 4-stage solid rocket sent a small satellite into orbit. Tianqi-11, a 50-kilogram or about 25 2-liter soda bottles, smallsat, was sent into a 500-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit. Built by Shanghai ASES Spaceflight Technology Company Limited, it is part of the Tianqi Narrowband Internet of Things constellation. This successful launch means that Galactic Energy has become the second private Chinese launch company to make it to orbit. The Series 1 rocket is 19 meters long and 1.4 meters in diameter. It can send 350 kilograms, that's 175 2-liter soda bottles, to low Earth orbit, or 230 kilograms, that's 115 2-liter soda bottles, to sun synchronous orbit at 700 kilometers. Series 1 is kind of a proof of concept for Galactic Energy, who have another rocket, Pallas 1, in development for a late 2020 test flight. That rocket will use kerosene and liquid oxygen and will be able to lift 4,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit, or 2,000 kilograms to a 700 kilometer sun synchronous orbit. And Pallas 1 is going to be able to land itself, so it will be reusable. There we go. All right, finally, this will get us all caught up on everything. India launched their first rocket of the year. On November 7th at 9:42 UTC, a polar satellite launch vehicle carried the EOS-1 to orbit from Satish Dhawan Space Center. EOS-1, formerly known as RISAT-2 BR2, is an Earth observation satellite. According to India Space Research Organization, the satellite is intended for applications in agriculture, forestry, and disaster management support. Also on board were 9 commercial customers. R2, a technology demonstration from Lithuania, 4 satellites for the Kleos Space's constellation that will monitor ocean traffic for things like illegal fishing, dumping, or smuggling, and 4 Lemur 2 satellites that will join a large constellation of multi-mission remote sensing satellites.
आनंद लीजिए.
Minus 30 seconds.
Real-time programs activated.
This rocket took off
Minus 25 seconds.
when it was raining.
The special camera is focusing intently on the launch vehicle, and the range operations director looking very intently at his monitor. 15 seconds, 12, 11,
10,
and 10.
9, 8, 7.
It's very, very wet.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ignition.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
You have just launched a majestic liftoff of PSLV C-49 carrying EOS-01 with 9 co-passenger satellites. And the range operations director has confirmed the liftoff and that the performance of PS1 is normal.
जी हाँ, अभी आपने देखा प्रमोचन यान का
This just
On
is...
your screens, you are able to watch the flight parameters along with the ground trace. The next flight event is the primary satellite separation.
EOS-01 satellite separated.
Now the jubilant moment on your screens.
अभी आप ऑनबोर्ड कंप्यूटर की मदद से ऑनबोर्ड कैमरा की मदद से देख पा रहे हैं कि EOS-1 का पृथक्करण सफलतापूर्वक कर लिया गया है.
The EOS-1, the primary satellite of PSLV's C-49 mission, has been injected into the orbit, its intended orbit, and the visuals you are getting from the onboard cameras live.
There it goes. Really cool. All right, to wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. There are currently 4 toilets in space. 2 are installed on the ISS, 1 is on the Soyuz, and there is 1 not yet installed. We've burned up 3 toilets so far in the atmosphere this year. Humanity has put a whopping 1,079 satellites into orbit. That number includes those from other in-orbit craft, such as the ISS. Directly from rocket launches were 1,048, And as far as the total number of Starlinks launched this year, 773. There have been 90 launch attempts, including 9 failures. I keep track of orbital launch attempts by where they launched from, also known as spaceport. Here's that breakdown. China 33, USA 29, Kazakhstan 7, Russia 5, New Zealand 5, French Guiana 4, Japan 3, Iran 2, India 1, Israel 1. And your random space fact for the week comes to us from community member On the Diagonal. On Europa, there is a large purple crater named Tyre after the ancient Phoenician city of the same name, which was famous for its purple dyes. And now I'm going to take questions from our live Twitch audience. While I do that, I'm going to remind you that this is a production of Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. The best way you can support us is through Patreon at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. I have been your host, Annie Wilson. Today's script was written and edited by Dave Ballard, Gordon Dewis, Ali Pelfrey, and myself. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. Our executive producer is Dr. Pamela Gay.